Convicted murderer Taylor Shabusiness in court again today in a new case. She's accused of attacking a prison worker while serving her life sentence in Fond du Lac County. In a First Alert update, Emily Byer shares the next steps in this case.
Court calls State of Wisconsin versus Taylor Shabusiness.
27-year-old Taylor Shabusiness enters the courtroom Friday morning surrounded by nearly a dozen deputies. 3 rows on both sides of the courtroom blocked off. As you'll recall, in 2023, during Shabusiness's murder case, at one of her court appearances, she attacked her attorney. That attorney then making a request.
I'm going to put a motion in the withdrawal from this matter.
Shabusiness serving a life sentence.
Guilty of first-degree intentional homicide.
Without parole for killing and dismembering a Green Bay man. While serving her sentence at Tachita Correctional Institution, a criminal complaint details how she attacked a prison guard last July. Shabusiness told a guard she needed medical care because of a staple in her arm. The sergeant took her to a nurse in a medical room. As the nurse started to get a tweezers to take out the staple, Shabusiness lunged at the nurse, according to the criminal complaint. When the sergeant stepped in, court documents say Shabusiness grabbed a small metal table and swung it at the sergeant. The sergeant then struggled with Shabusiness before using pepper spray to subdue her. Other guards arrived to restrain her. Today in court, her attorney requested an evaluation.
We are set here for a preliminary hearing. Attorney Jolka, what is the status?
Your Honor, I have met with Ms. Shabusiness. We're requesting under Wisconsin stats, section 971.14, that she be evaluated by a psychologist or psychiatrist.
And that's based on your personal observations?
Correct.
Prosecutors having no objections.
We will order that competency evaluation is done by the department and that we will hold a hearing upon its return.
As for her murder conviction, it's currently being appealed. In court documents, the undersigned attorney writes they intend to file a no-merit report by March 24th of this year. A no-merit report means the attorney will review the details of the case that could support an appeal, and they'll address why the details have no merit to support appealing a conviction. Back to you.